on what you think Meghan's next move is.
Well, my view is that she is writing her memoirs and that the rest of this...
Oh, no.
It's going to be huge money.
Imagine opening a dusty old cabinet in Chicago's Cook County archives and finding a record that should never exist. A name, a year, and a baby, all tied to Rachel Meghan Markle. Not the Duchess of Sussex. Not the humanitarian. But a teenage girl in 1995 attached to a child that doesn't fit anywhere in her carefully polished biography. Tom Bower, a royal commentator, couldn't hold his comments on this case. Her life story has always been portrayed as squeaky clean. A schoolgirl in Los Angeles, college at Northwestern, a Hollywood actress, then a royal duchess. But what if the most important part of that story has been deliberately erased? What if her past isn't as flawless?
All this, what we've seen this last week, is absolute media manipulation of the most extraordinary kind. First of all, this dancing at the Beyoncé concert.
As she wants the world to believe. Stay tuned, because Bower didn't spare Rachel Meghan Markle. The first red flag emerges from Cook County, Illinois. According to investigators, a birth certificate filed in 1995 lists the name Rachel M. Markle. That's Meghan's real name, Rachel Meghan Markle. The issue? Meghan has never publicly acknowledged being connected to any child in Chicago. In fact, her official timeline places her firmly in Los Angeles during those years, finishing high school and preparing for university. Yet, the presence of her name on a Chicago birth record opens a Pandora's box of questions. Why was Meghan's name tied to a 1995 child at all? Who was the father? And most importantly...
Which was clearly all set up to film her hugging Harry. That was all phony. And then Harry knocking the media for not being nice to the Afghan victim.
Why has this never been mentioned in any biography, interview, or royal documentary? This isn't some wild rumor scrawled across a tabloid. This is a paper trail, the kind of cold, factual document that can't be brushed away with PR spin. To understand how explosive this is, we need to overlay Meghan's official timeline. She claims she graduated from Immaculate Heart High School in Los Angeles in 1999. She claims she enrolled at Northwestern University in Illinois shortly thereafter. Her gap years between high school and university are supposedly filled with wholesome extracurriculars and self-discovery. But here's the problem. If she was linked to a Chicago baby in 1995...
It's outrageous entry to the St. George's Chapel just when the Cambridges were doing their service for remembrance of the late Queen.
The dates don't align. She would have been around 14 to 16 years old, an age at which a pregnancy would have been impossible to hide from classmates, friends, or family. Yet not a single public biography, not even her carefully staged Netflix series, ever mentions this missing year. Instead, Meghan's timeline has been smoothed over like an edited script. And this isn't the first time critics have accused her of massaging reality. The trail doesn't stop at the birth record. Enter the Giuliano family, a Chicago-based family who, according to insiders, were financially involved in containing the situation. Reports claim they had to pay to get rid of Meghan.
This was really ridiculous. There was Harry doing really good stuff with the Invictus Games, but playing on these poor victims.
After a turbulent summer in 1994 and 1995. Now, what does that phrase mean? Some allege it was hush money. Others suggest it was a settlement of sorts, ensuring the scandal never reached Los Angeles or the Markle family's polished narrative. If true, this would explain why Meghan's past appears so tightly curated, with very little room for mistakes. Every biography, every interview, every public story leaves no space for Chicago in 1995, almost as if it was deliberately airbrushed away. But this mystery does more than raise questions about a secret child.
This is a woman who talked tonight about the importance of family. The importance of family. From Meghan Markle, who did her best to destroy the royal family.
It reignites the long-standing speculation about Meghan's true age. Officially, Meghan claims she was born in 1981. But the Chicago records, paired with family whispers, suggest she could have been born earlier, possibly around 1975 to 1978. That would make her 6 years older than she has publicly stated. This matters because it changes the entire arc of her story, her supposed late-bloom Hollywood career. Her calculated entry into royal life at an age she presented as mid-30s, but could have been early 40s, and her carefully manufactured relatability. All based on a timeline that no longer adds up.
Ignores her own father, who talks about we've got to look after victims, and leaves her father in Mexico with a stroke and doesn't visit him, and talks about...
Royal experts like Tom Bower have repeatedly accused Meghan of manipulating her age, her image, and her personal history. If this Chicago record is real, it's the smoking gun they've been waiting for. Perhaps the darkest angle is the human one. If Meghan was truly connected to a 1995 baby, then where is that child today? Critics argue that Meghan completely erased this part of her past. Unlike other celebrities who openly acknowledge difficult early life choices, Meghan has doubled down on an image of perfection. And yet, her recent obsession with controlling Harry's children, from Archie's heavily staged christening photos...
These are two real imposters, and what is really annoying is that we shouldn't have to in any way admire what they're doing in Dusseldorf, because they have wrecked with all their lies.
...to Lilibet's carefully curated public debut. Feels performative in hindsight. Some have even suggested it's overcompensation. She rejected a child in the past, but now clings to the Sussex children as her proof of maternal devotion. If true, it paints Meghan not as a doting mother, but as an opportunist, willing to erase real lives to maintain her own storyline. The Chicago birth records don't just raise questions. They blow open an entire hidden history. A mystery child, a rewritten timeline, a suspiciously polished life story. Meghan Markle may have spent years building an empire on image. But what happens when the archives tell a different story? Because as every royal watcher knows...
lies on Oprah Winfrey, the lies in Spare, the lies that Harry said in his interviews about his father and his brother, and he comes to England, makes no attempt to visit his father or brother.
Paper doesn't lie. The Chicago files shook the ground. But here's the thing about Meghan Markle. Scandals don't stop her, they fuel her. Every time a secret slips out, she doesn't come clean. Instead, she reinvents. She pivots. She edits the narrative like a Hollywood script. And for years, the world has let her get away with it. But now, with Tom Bower, Angela Levin, and even Netflix insiders calling her out, the mask is slipping faster than ever before. Critics point out a consistent cycle in Meghan's public life: exposure, denial, reinvention. When the Tig blog collapsed, she became a humanitarian.
Meghan carries on her lies and all the rest of it, and it really is shocking that we in any way afford them any respect
even
whatsoever.
though the Invictus Games...
When Hollywood roles dried up, she became a duchess. When the palace turned cold, she became a victim. And now, with Chicago records and age scandals looming, she's pushing a new Hollywood mother entrepreneur image. It's a pattern as predictable as it is manipulative. Every exposure of truth is followed by a carefully staged rebrand. But the cracks are showing. You can't reinvent forever when paper trails keep surfacing. Enter Tom Bower, author of Revenge. Bower has long argued that Meghan's carefully crafted image is riddled with half-truths and omissions. He's not afraid to say what the palace won't. That Meghan has manipulated timelines, relationships...
Well, it's contemptible, really. We shouldn't give the Invictus Games...
Well, we should give the Invictus in because the participants and the idea was brilliant.
...and even identities to serve her narrative. Bower specifically warned that her past is darker and far more complicated than the glossy stories sold to Oprah, Netflix, or Spotify. Now, with these Chicago revelations, his warnings look prophetic. Bower's critics once called him extreme. Today, they're admitting he might have been right all along. And then there's Harry. For years, he's been Meghan's fiercest defender, attacking the press, his own family, even his late grandmother's institution to protect her. But what happens when the truth is so undeniable that even he can't ignore it? Royal aides whisper that Harry's loyalty has been tested before.
Being run very, very well, not by Harry, but by the administrators. And it is terrific for the contestants. I'm all for that. But the Sussexes are using it.
During Spare, during the Spotify collapse, during the South Park mockery. But this? A secret baby, a rewritten age, a life story built on airbrushed lies? That's a scandal Harry can't simply shout away with speeches about racism or privacy. Even insiders admit, if these records are real, Harry will have to choose between his wife's crumbling facade and the last shreds of his own credibility. Hollywood runs on one thing: authenticity. Even the fakest celebrities know they need a core truth the public believes in. But Meghan's core is collapsing. Netflix is struggling with her series.
What's so naughty, because in the end, of course, Alison Boshoff was right. They are looking for a new
they're trying
brand.
to separate their
well,
brands.
They're desperate. What's interesting is they haven't got a platform anymore.
Spotify dropped her after just one season. Hollywood critics booed her at previews. And now her personal history, the very foundation of her brand, is riddled with contradictions. This is no longer about gossip. This is about trust. When a brand built on female empowerment and authentic storytelling is caught lying about something as fundamental as age and past, the empire falls apart. Critics are calling it the Oprah effect, when an interview that was supposed to solidify her truth instead created a permanent standard of skepticism. Every word Meghan says now is filtered through doubt. So what's next?
No magazine is going to interview Meghan Markle anymore. Spotify and Netflix are not going to commission them to do more reports. So they're desperate for somehow to be seen.
Experts predict Meghan will launch another reinvention campaign. Perhaps another Netflix project, maybe even a rebranded podcast. But without trust, it won't matter. Hollywood executives privately admit Meghan Markle is becoming unbankable. She isn't Diana. She isn't Grace Kelly. She's a PR liability. The Chicago files may just be the final nail. And for Harry, his silence speaks volumes. The man who once attacked everyone to defend Meghan now looks exhausted, isolated, and unsure. If Meghan's past continues to unravel, his own future collapses with it. The Chicago records weren't just a scandal. They were a mirror, reflecting back everything critics have said about Meghan for years. Reinvention, manipulation, erasure. For decades, she's controlled the narrative. But in the age of digital archives, secrets don't stay buried. Because when the paper trail speaks louder than the palace spin, not even a duchess can escape the truth. If you've made it this far, you already see the pattern. Meghan's story doesn't add up. Every record, every interview, every carefully staged appearance hides another contradiction. And when the truth finally begins to break through, she spins, reinvents, and silences critics. But that cycle only works if people stop asking questions. That's where you come in. This story isn't just about Meghan. It's about power, media manipulation, and how easily the truth can be erased when fame and influence are at play. The mainstream networks won't touch this because they're afraid of backlash. But independent voices, like this channel, are the only ones daring to shine the light where others refuse. By supporting, subscribing, and spreading these revelations, you're helping expose what Meghan never wanted anyone to see. So here's what you need to do. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the bell so you don't miss the next wave of revelations. Because believe me, the Chicago files are just the beginning. Share this video with your friends, your family, anyone who's been blinded by the glossy PR machine. The more people see this, the harder it becomes for Meghan to bury the truth. And I want to hear from you. Do you believe Meghan has been lying about her past? Do you think Harry knows more than he admits? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. This isn't just a video, it's a conversation, a movement, a reckoning with the truth. Your voice matters here more than it ever will in the controlled narratives pumped out by Netflix or Oprah's stage. Think about it. If these records had never been uncovered, Meghan's story would have gone unchallenged. History would have been rewritten in real time, with millions buying into a myth. But now we have the chance to hold her accountable. And that's why this channel exists, to expose, to challenge, to dig where others refuse. If you believe in truth over spin, in facts over fairy tales, then this is your community. So subscribe, share, and stay tuned, because the next video will reveal what Meghan fears most about her Hollywood downfall and how Harry's silence could destroy the last threads of their marriage. You won't want to miss it. Remember, truth only wins when people are brave enough to seek it. And together, we're not just watching history, we're rewriting it back to what it really is.